Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel again. I'm Azalia Qonita Azmi and anybody else call me Qoni, and my student number is 109. I'm a student of English Education Department of UIN Jakarta. What I'm gonna do today is not too different with previous video, but today I'm gonna make a textbook review, which is an English workbook. The workbook that I will review is about Basic English Grammar by Anne Seaton. And I believe this book is to recommend it for you if you want to start learning English. And this book is published in United States 207 with Saddleback Educational Publishing with 157 pages. So, but the author is known as Seaton. She is a leader of community, hosting many gatherings for her families or others, working as accounting manager AFNet, and campaigning for local Republican candidates. And also, she had written 16 textbooks, and most of them is talking about grammar. But when I search on Google, she had already passed away on Friday, 23 April 2021. And that's about the author. So let's talk about the book. First, I'm gonna tell about the summary of this chapter of this book. Actually, each chapter of this book, and after that, I'm gonna show you about how this book itself. So let's start of the summary of this book. So as you can see, the table of content of this book is there is 14 chapters. This book is include 14 chapters. Let's see the table of content. The first is talking about what is grammar, and the second is the capital letter, and the third is nouns, the fourth is pronouns, and the fifth is adjective, and the next is determiners, and the seventh is verb and tenses, and the eighth is subject and subject verb agreement, and then the next is adverbs and preposition, conjunction, interjection, sentences, and punctuation. So yeah, that's the table of content of this book. Okay, let's start from chapter 1. Chapter 1 is talking about what is grammar, and there's a brief explanation in this chapter. There is no subchapter. For this chapter, only one page. There is page 5. There is no exercise in this chapter because just a brief explanation for a reader to understand about the material. And chapter 2 talks about the capital letter. When do you use a capital letter? There is no subchapter also for this chapter. This page start from 6 until 7 pages. There are exercises in the end of the chapter, and there are examples also and include illustration. The chapter 3 talks about nouns. There is 6 sub-chapters from page 8 until 43 page. There is example, exercise in the end of sub-chapters, and grammar help. Also word file and did you know table. And about sub-chapter for this chapter, there is 6, right, that I said before, and it talks about common nouns, proper nouns, singular nouns, plural noun, collective nouns, masculine and feminine nouns. And about chapter 4 talks about pronouns. There is 4 subchapters, start from page 44 until 52. There is example also, exercise after subchapters, and grammar help. So the next is chapter 5 talks about adjectives. There's 3 subchapters, and it starts page from 53 until 71, and there is example, exercise after subchapter, and grammar help, also the journal table. So chapter 6 is talk about determiners. There is 4 subchapters, start page from 72 until 78. There is example, exercise in the end of the chapter, not subchapter, in the end of the chapter, and grammar help. So the next chapter is chapter 7, talks about verbs and tenses. This is the important things I think in the grammar. There is 15 sub-chapters. There's many. From page 79 until 122. There is example, exercise in the end of sub-chapter, grammar help, spelling file, and did you know table. That's complete, I think. And about chapter 9, and about chapter 8 is talking about subject-verb agreement. There is no sub-chapter for this chapter. It starts from page 123 until 126, just around 4 pages. There is example, exercise in the end of the chapter, and grammar help. And about chapter 9 talks about adverbs. There is no subchapter, and it starts from page 127 until 131. There is example, exercise of the end of chapter, and grammar help. That's almost same with the chapter 8. And the next is about chapter 10. Chapter 10 is talk about prepositions. There is no subchapter also, and it starts from page 132 until 134. That's a little, just 2 pages. There is example, exercise in the end of the chapter, and also grammar help. Chapter 11, that's almost same with the previous chapter, talks about conjunction. There is no subchapter, and it starts from page 135 until 137. There is example also, exercise in the end of the chapter, and grammar help. So, the next is chapter 12 until chapter 13. Chapter 12 talks about interjections. Also, there is a brief explanation. There is no subchapter also, and only page 138. And there is example also, did you know table, and there is no exercise. And chapter 13 talks about sentences. There is 7 sub-chapters, and it starts from page 139 until 150. There is example, exercise in the end of the chapter, grammar help, and did you know table. Almost complete. And the last, chapter 14 talks about punctuation. There is 5 sub-chapters, and it starts from page 151 until 157. And there is example also, explanation, exercise in the end of the chapter, grammar help. Actually, I forgot to announce you that this book is complete by a brief explanation in each chapter, and almost all chapter there is exercise. So now I'm gonna show you about the table content drill from the book. This is, and I give you an example for showing the book itself. Chapter 3 talks about nouns. There is a brief explanation in here. There is word file, table, word file. So interesting picture, and did you know table, and also a word file again, and exercise. That's almost same with other chapters like this. And I think this is so interesting book because the picture and the table and the color, even just only blue and white. So this book is organized by 14 chapters, as I said before, and the first is explanation, and after that the exercise. Also, every chapter include exercise, example, explanation, also did you know table, grammar help, or word file, or even interesting picture. And this book, the writer write this book has explained with clear and simple way, and give the exercise in the end of the chapter, what I said before, and this book so help for who wanna learn English, especially for the beginner. So I think this book best for everybody who wants to start to learn English as a beginner, and it can be for elementary school around 5th or 6th grade, or even junior high school, or even college student. Because this book is explained very clear and simple, and also so many explanation with a picture or illustration that make every material clear. From the book that I like less is about chapter 1. The writer didn't give a explanation what the grammar itself, so I think it's not too clearly. So yeah, for the beginner, as a beginner, I felt confused if I read chapter 1. And also for me, I think the writer better give an answer key in the end of this book. I think this book is very recommended for you as a beginner learner for grammar. I know that grammar is the difficult things in English. So this book is very clear, simple, and easy to understand, with very interesting picture, what I said before, illustration that make you understand, help you to understand the material. So I think this just that's from the review textbook from me. So I hope you enjoy and understand. So see you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.